The only thing left for evolutionists to argue that the Earth is old is radiometric dating. And since it cannot get the dates of known ages correct, what makes us believe that it's reliable for rocks of unknown ages correct? Clearly, it is not only unreliable, but the fact that we know today that super heavy elements rapidly decay into stable radiometric isotopes that date millions or billions of years old, even though they were just formed, proves that radiometric dating is no longer evidence for evolution or anything else for that matter. It doesn't matter how consistent their decay rates become after it cools, because the early stages of their formation have shown us that they actually form rapidly from super heavy elements through the process of Z-pinch, where these elements are quickly fissioned and decay into subatomic particles, isotopes, and radioactive elements. Not only that, when they do form, they form in the arrangement of elements that matches exactly what we find on Earth's crust today, observed at the Proton 21 laboratories in Ukraine. Evolutionists claim that the Earth's radioactive elements came from material that evolved inside a star that exploded and the debris later formed to create Earth. But now we know stars cannot create any element above iron, so how could their theory be true? It can't. Evolution has been dealt its death blow regarding radiometric dating. But what about the Earth? They have been telling us that Earth's core has three main sources of energy, which are potassium, uranium, and thorium. If this is the case, then why don't we find more of it the deeper we go? Clearly, over billions of years, these heavy elements, like uranium, would be concentrated in the core. And if this were the case, then the oldest uranium would be at the core. This is an invalidation of that theory. And now they admit that experiments show that there is no uranium or thorium at Earth's core. So the idea of the slow geologic process and the dates along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge prove nothing in regards to how old the Earth is. This is best explained by Noah's flood. As when the fountains of the great deep broke forth and opened at this location, the water currents pushed away from it these radioactive elements which settled into the newly formed rock layers. This also explains why 90% of the heavy elements uranium and thorium are on the crust of the Earth and not deep within the mantle. It also explains why lower rocks in the crust of the Earth date older than on top, since radioactive elements are dated older have more atomic weight. So we see uranium, which dates the oldest, in the lower levels because it weighs more, and the lighter elements on the top, which date much younger. So, if young Earth creation were true, then nearly all of the radioactive elements would be concentrated on the crust because of Noah's flood. If evolution were true and deep time, this would have allowed the elements to sink all the way into the core. What do we find? 90% of all radioactive elements are in the crust of the Earth. But if that's not bad enough, distribution is very uneven. 50% of all the radioactive elements are in Australia alone.
All the strange words make sense.